Residents of an apartment complex aren't allowed to have any pets. Mr. Smith, a doctor living on the 3rd floor, has been hearing someone barking somewhere around. He reported it, and his neighbors, Evie, Haven, and Nash, were visited. Can you tell who keeps a dog? It's Nash. Take a look at the shoe shelf. Someone chewed some of his shoes. I bet it wasn't Nash himself who did it. 4 friends were going to another city. The driver got distracted and got into a car crash. A police officer arrived and started the investigation. He asked who was driving, but no one took the blame. Then the officer inspected the car. Can you tell who the driver was? The driver must be this guy. The driver's seat is pulled quite far away from the wheel, and he's the only guy and the biggest person in the group. Any of the girls would have needed the seat pulled closer. In June, medical students had an exam in biology, the hardest exam of the term. The students came to the classroom and were assigned a particular seat. A professor noticed that one of the students was going to cheat and made that person sit right in front of him. Which student is it, and how did the professor know? It's the guy with dark hair. It's June and all students are dressed lightly. Still, this student has his sweater on with long sleeves, probably to hide notes or a cell phone. In a little town, a robber appeared. He would break into houses at night and steal electronics and valuables. Each night, another house would be robbed. First, it was Mr. Smith's house. The next night, it was the Holmes house. The night after, Tanner's house. Last night, the house of Mrs. Collins was robbed too. Can you guess which house on the street is going to be robbed tonight? Pay attention to the houses. Mr. Smith's house is red. The house of the Holmes is orange. The Tanner's house is yellow. And the house of Mrs. Collins is green. Seems like the robber chooses the houses in order of rainbow colors, so the next target must be this blue house. A rich lady, Mrs. Herrera, was looking for a cleaning lady to clean her house once a week. There were 2 candidates, and each week she invited one to clean. Which one should Mrs. Herrera hire? Mrs. Herrera should hire the second candidate. Look, the bucket behind the first one is filled with jewelry. She's a thief. Mr. Jones was going on vacation. He cleaned up his office before leaving and took the key with him. When he came back 2 weeks later, he immediately realized that someone had broken into his office while he was away. How did he figure it out? Mr. Jones cleaned everything and kept the blinds open, but when he returned, the blinds were closed. Very suspicious, since he's the only one with the key. Someone has been stealing jewelry from a local store. The managers couldn't find out who it was and hired a detective. Take a look at some security camera shots over the year and say who the thief is. It's this dark-haired man with a cast. It's been a year, but he's still wearing the cast. It must be a fake. The Citibank was robbed, and the police managed to trace and catch one of them, the city's most famous criminal, Bill. The other one wasn't identified, but the police had 3 main suspects: Tom, Jack, and Rob. They were interrogated, but they failed to prove that any of them was connected to Bill in any way, so the police were puzzled. Detective Callum walked in, looked at them, and immediately made up his mind. Who do you think Bill's partner is? Look, Jack has the exact same tattoo as Bill. That's something. They must be partners or at least somehow connected. Skylar stayed in the university's library to finish her paper. Around 4 p.m., she got hungry, so she went down to the university's cafeteria to get something to eat.
Thank you.
Skylar returned back to her desk half an hour later and discovered that someone had stolen her wallet while she was away. There were 3 other students in the library, and they were the main suspects. All of them denied stealing anything. What do you think happened? Skylar went to get something to eat, right? So she must have taken her wallet with her, and no one stole anything. She should check her pockets.
Oh my God.
A week ago, Mrs. Miller grounded her daughters after the girls had snuck out for a party in the middle of the night. It's a boring, rainy day, and there's not much going on in the office. So Mrs. Miller is talking on the phone with her best friend. Her friend is in the mall, and she goes on, "Oh, one of your daughters is here with a friend. I'm not sure which one it is, though." Several hours later, Mrs. Miller returns home and asks her daughters what they've been doing. Leah says, "I was studying." Coco replies, "I was reading and I watched a movie." Della says, "Nothing, just chilled and watered the garden." Who's lying? Della for sure. It's raining. There's no point in watering the garden. The time machine was invented, but it came with a bug. People were using the time machine to travel in time, disrupting the order of time, and they would often stay in different eras without precautions. Time police travel through time, catching illegal time travelers, and they need your help. First, we're traveling to ancient Greece. Can you see the time traveler here? It's this woman with a Louis Vuitton bag.
Oh.
There was no Louis Vuitton in ancient Greece. The next stop is ancient China. Do you think you can find another time traveler? Keep your eyes open. It's this man. He's wearing modern sneakers. Going even further back to the Stone Age. Can you spot the time traveler? Is this woman wearing makeup? Yeah, she definitely doesn't belong here. What about medieval Europe? Do you see anyone suspicious the time police should arrest? This man right here. Look, he's taking photos with his modern cell phone. And this one isn't too much of a distant future. It's the 1980s. Do you have any idea who's out of place there? This is a Tesla, and of course, the driver is the time traveler. Okay, just one more time traveler to catch for today. Keep your eyes wide open. And we're taken to the Wild West this time. Look around. Do you see anyone suspicious? Is this guy wearing a cap? Catch him. He's not from that time.
Oh my God.
Mr. Green got in a car accident and spent a month in the hospital. He got amnesia and partly forgot things. He didn't have a family, and a month later, he finally returned home. He found his street, but then he realized he didn't remember which of the 2 houses was actually his house. Can you guess which house is his? His house is the one where the lawns aren't mowed. He spent a month in the hospital, and since he lives alone, no one could have mowed the lawn for him. Atlas and Eliza are sisters. Their grandmother gave Atlas a beautiful necklace for her birthday, but Eliza loves it too. So she borrows it from her sister without permission sometimes. On Friday, Atlas returned home and saw that her necklace wasn't there. She guessed that Eliza must have taken it from her. So she knocked on her sister's door. Eliza opened the door but noticed that it was her sister, so she shut it and locked it. A minute later, Atlas broke in and started to search for the necklace, but she didn't find anything. On her way out, Atlas remembered something and managed to find the necklace. Where? Atlas remembered that when Eliza opened the door, she wasn't wearing a scarf, but when she broke in a minute later, the scarf was there to cover up the necklace she had put on to hide it from her sister. Jack is in a cold cell. There's only ground under his feet. In the cell, there is one window, but it's impossible to escape through it. It's located too high above the floor. There are no stairs and no chairs, just a shovel. The man needs to get out of the cell as quickly as possible. He can't dig a tunnel and go deep underground, since the walls are really thick. Jack would get exhausted long before finishing digging his way to freedom. Can you guess the easiest way out of the cell? He needs to dig a large hole in the ground and use the dirt to make a small hill. He can then climb it and reach the window. Ava has been wandering through the desert for days. She's tired, thirsty, and hungry. Finally, she arrives at an oasis. Yes! But to get to it, she needs to choose one of 3 paths. At the entrance of the first path, there's a huge dragon with 2 heads. In the middle of the second path, there are hungry tigers. And the third path is swarming with thousands of scorpions. Which path should she choose? The first path. Dragons aren't real, so she'll be safe there. Jenny walks into a cafe and orders a cappuccino.
Hello.
The cashier tells her it's her lucky day. She'll give Jenny her cappuccino for free if she manages to answer a riddle correctly.
Yes!
The cashier says, there are 2 buckets filled with water all the way to the top. The buckets are of the same height, but the temperature of the water inside the first bucket is 25 degrees Celsius, while in the second bucket it's 25 degrees Fahrenheit. If a person drops a coin in each bucket at the same time, which coin will hit the bottom of the bucket first? It takes Jenny a few minutes to answer the riddle, but she gets it right. Can you guess what she answered? She said that first, one of the coins would hit the bottom of the first bucket. It has to do with the state of the water in each bucket. At 25 degrees Celsius, water is liquid, while at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns into ice. Emily finally went to Paris. On her first day, she bought a baguette and some cheese and went to the park to have a picnic. She sat down and cut the baguette into 4 pieces. A random person next to her said,
Nice!
"Hey, it took you 12 seconds to do that." Can you figure out how long it would take Emily to cut the baguette into 8 pieces? It would take 28 seconds. Here's how it works. To cut a baguette into 4 pieces, she needs to make 3 cuts. If it takes her 12 seconds to make 3 cuts, it means that she makes 1 cut in 4 seconds. Now, if she wants to cut the baguette into 8 pieces, she'll need to make 7 cuts. So, 7 cuts, 4 seconds each, 28 seconds. Every Sunday, Mrs. Moore gives her 4 daughters some pocket money. Half of the entire amount goes to the eldest daughter, Brianna. The second sister, Amy, gets half of the amount Brianna gets. Kate gets 1/6 of the total amount. And the remaining $10 goes to the youngest daughter, Nikki. How much money does Mrs. Moore give to her daughters? Once again, Brianna gets half of the money. Amy gets half of the half, which means 1/4 of the original sum, and Kate gets 1/6. They are all some fraction of 12, so Brianna gets 6/12, Amy gets 3/12, and Kate gets 3/12. Together, this adds up to 11/12, which means that Nikki gets 1/12, which equals $10. The whole sum is 12/12, which is $120. Brianna gets $60, Amy receives $30, Kate is given $20. Hey, if I were Nikki, I would complain. Miss Taylor is the owner of a boutique that produces and sells expensive ceramics. On a Friday, when the working week was almost finished, she went to put the day's earnings in the safe and was shocked to find out that the money was gone. Someone had stolen it. Miss Taylor suspected it was one of her workers. She asked each of them what they'd been doing that day. Sloan, the sales manager, said she'd been looking for new clients. Jake, the potter, said he always made 1 cup a day, and he showed all the cups he had finished that week. Lily, the designer, said she'd been working, but she also admitted she hadn't really been productive that day because of some family issues. Who lied? Jake. There are 5 working days in a regular week. The man said he made 1 mug a day, but he only showed 4 mugs. It means he missed 1 day of work. Probably the day he needed to steal Miss Taylor's money. 2 cars, blue and red, started traveling on the same highway at the same time. The blue car is going at a speed of 60 miles per hour, and the red car is going 40 miles per hour. However, after some time on the road, they come across each other at one point. How is this possible? Well, they're traveling in opposite directions, so eventually they would pass each other anyway. Carl was a rich man who had 2 grown-up sons, Ethan and Christian. They lived in a big mansion. One day, Carl noticed that his expensive ancient vase was missing. The only people who were at home the night before were his sons. He didn't want to involve the police, so he decided to interrogate the guys himself. He saw Ethan driving through the gates. He was back from his daily visit to the gym. The young man said that the night before, he'd been practicing guitar and hadn't noticed anything strange. Then, Carl met Christian near the pool. The guy told his father, "Now I understand. Yesterday, I saw Ethan putting a box in the back seat of his car. It must have been the vase." But Carl immediately realized it was Christian who had taken the vase. How did he know? Because Ethan drives a sports car. It only has 2 seats. He couldn't have put the box in the back seat. It means Christian is lying. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw just 1 line and turn 9 into 6. His only condition was that the students couldn't take their pens off the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first one to complete the task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of I, X, and got 6. There's a patch of magic grass in a field, and it doubles in size every day. If on day 1 it's just a patch of grass, on day 2 it's twice bigger, and so on. It'll take 10 days for the grass to cover the entire field. How long will it take the grass to cover half of the field? The patch of grass doubles in size every day, so on the 9th day, half of the field will be covered with it. In a kingdom far, far away, an old king lived. The king was worried he had no heirs to his throne. One day, he came up with an idea. He decided to give each child in his kingdom a seed. He promised to make the child who grew the most beautiful plant his heir. 3 months later, thousands of children came to the palace. All of them had amazingly tall green plants in their hands, but one girl had a pot that was empty. However, she was the one the king chose to be the future queen. What made him do so? It turned out that the king had given the children fake seeds. The girl turned out to be the only honest kid. Okay, first question. Who is someone that doesn't decide if they go in or out? That's a prisoner. And today, you're going to be a true detective solving some prisoner riddles. Ready? Here's a task for you. Take a good look at these 3 houses. In one of them, a person who recently escaped from prison resides. In which house do you think they live? If they just escaped from prison, they're very alert and surely ready to flee immediately and as fast as possible. Look at the way the cars are parked. 2 are parked with the back facing the road and 1 is pointing towards the street. If a car is parked pointing towards the street, it's faster to drive out, so it must be the runaway prisoner's house. A prisoner has a chance to escape prison. He has a choice of 2 doors. Behind one, there's freedom, and the other one leads back to his cell. He doesn't know which is which. In front of either door, there's a guard. One of them always lies and the other always tells the truth. But again, he doesn't know which one is which. The prisoner can ask one question. What question should he ask to get out? He should ask either guard, is the lying guard in front of the freedom door? If he says yes, there are 2 options. Either he's telling the truth or he's the liar, and so he stands next to the cell door. In any case, the prisoner should pick the other door. If the guard says no, then it's either the truth and the door is then the freedom door, or it's a lie, but it still remains that it's the freedom door. So, in a case of a no, the prisoner should pick that door. A prisoner is trying to escape. He managed to leave the cell and found an underground tunnel, but it only led him to 3 doors. All of them didn't look safe. Behind the first door, there were 2 guards who would see him and take him back to prison. Behind the second door, there was a room full of lasers. Behind the third door, there was a room with the floor full of broken glass. Which way is safer? The prisoner should pick the last door. The floor is covered in broken glass, but he's wearing shoes, so it can't cause him much harm. Another prisoner is trying to escape, and he almost succeeded. There are now 3 doors in front of him. Behind one, there will be 3 hungry and angry dogs. Behind the second door, there will be an explosion in 5 minutes. Behind the third door, there's a guard. Which door should the prisoner pick to get out successfully? He should wait for 5 minutes until the explosion and then use the second door to get out. Now here's a logic puzzle. An inmate had a visitor. A guard asked him who it was and he said, "I don't have any siblings. This man's father is my father's son." So who visited the inmate? Since the prisoner doesn't have any siblings, then my father's son is him himself. And he is the father of the guest, so the guest is his son. An inmate got sick, and now he has to take pills to keep his illness under control and also not to infect anyone else. He got 3 pills which he has to take every hour. How long will it take him to take all the pills? It'll only take him 2 hours. One he will take immediately, another one after 1 hour, and the last one after 2 hours. An inmate escaped from prison. His best friend was waiting for him in a car, so the prisoner hopped in and they drove away. The police are now chasing them. This is the car with the prisoner, and these 2 cars are identical. Watch the car with the prisoner carefully. Which car is the escapee in? It's the one on the left. Okay, now it's going to be even harder. Watch the car again. They'll go faster. Which one is it? If you said this one, then you're right. Okay, one last time. And will you catch the prisoner? Watch the cars carefully. Which one is it? It's this one, correct. Congratulations, you caught the prisoner. Another prisoner escaped, and police tracked him back to a recreational hotel complex in a forest in the suburbs. A detective entered a sauna he had seen the prisoner sneaking in a minute ago. There were 4 men sitting there. They said they were friends and had been sitting in the sauna for around 10 minutes and hadn't seen anyone else entering. Which one is the prisoner? It must be this guy. Look, everyone is wet and sweaty, and he's not sweating at all. He must have just entered. Another day, another prisoner managed to escape. This time, the police were sure that the prisoner was somewhere in the zoo located not far away from the prison. They entered and went up to one of the zoo's caretakers, asking if he had seen a prisoner there.
"No, sir, I guarantee that no prisoners entered this area,"
said the caretaker. It was suspicious. Why was he so sure about that? All right, thank you for your assistance. By the way, why is this cage empty?
"Oh, I'm cleaning it. The zebras were relocated for a while."
The police arrested him as a prisoner. Why? The sign on the cage says that it's the cage with camels. If he was a real caretaker, he would know this. Now, I'll be showing you several houses, and your task is to determine in which house a criminal lives. For example, look at these two. Which room belongs to a criminal? This one. Look, there's a black mask on the chair. What about these two houses? Do you see something suspicious? There are orange overalls in the wardrobe. They must belong to a prisoner. Another one for you. Can you see any signs of a prisoner? Look, there's a huge bag with money hidden. This is the place. There are 4 prisoners who get a chance to get out sooner if they solve a riddle. There are 4 hats, 2 black ones and 2 white ones, and everyone is aware of that. They stand like this. The first prisoner is in the front and can't see anyone. The second prisoner can only see the first one. The third prisoner can see both. Behind a wall, there's the fourth prisoner, who can't see anyone. Each one of them got a hat. None of them knows the color of their hat. They can only see others as described. Any one of them can make a guess regarding the color of their own hat. One attempt for all of them. But if the person gets it right, all 4 of them will get out. How can they do it? The third prisoner can see 2 hats in front of him. If they're the same color, then he knows his own hat is the other color. But if there are 2 different hat colors in front of him, then he can't be sure. In this case, he'll stay silent. Then, the second prisoner understands that they have hats of different colors. He can see the hat color of the first prisoner, so he will call out that his own has the other color.
Dustin is a widowed man living alone in his house. One day, the doorbell rang. Dustin went up to open his door, and right there she was, his wife. How's it possible? I hope you kept your eyes wide open for this one. Look, there's a photo of Dustin and his wife on the wall. His wife has a birthmark on her cheek. The woman that just appeared doesn't have it, so it must be Dustin's wife's twin sister. Dylan was grounded, and he wasn't allowed to meet even his girlfriend for a week. One evening, when Dylan's mom returned home from work, she found Dylan in his room and asked him if he'd met anyone that day. Dylan said that he'd been at home, studying all day. His mom didn't believe him. Why? Look, there's a lipstick stain on his neck. I'm pretty sure his girlfriend came over for a short visit. Another grounded teenager, Eslyn, wasn't allowed to see any of her friends for 2 weeks after failing her history test. One night, her mother had a night shift and only returned home next afternoon. She came to check on her daughter, and she knew immediately that Eslyn had a friend over for a sleepover. How did she figure it out? Examine Eslyn's room carefully. 2 plates, 2 cups, 2 forks. She wasn't the only one eating dinner in her room last night, and she wasn't smart enough to clean up after. Smells like 2 more weeks to me. Miss Virginia Dell is a rich young lady who had a beautiful and expensive jewelry collection behind a glass in her dressing room. One morning, she found that someone broke the glass and stole her jewelry. Miss Dell's cleaning lady claimed that she had cleaned the room at around 5 a.m. and the jewelry was still there. Virginia's best friend, who was staying in her house that week, said that she had never even walked in the dressing room. Virginia's cousin, who was also staying with her for the holiday, said that she'd walked in the dressing room in the morning, but hadn't paid any attention to the jewelry, and for sure hadn't stolen anything. Who is the liar? It's the cleaning lady. Seems like right after she broke the glass and stole the jewelry, she wiped off the pieces of glass while cleaning as well, because there's no shattered glass on the floor. Okay, here's another task for you to test your observation skills. I'll show you 2 people and some items. Your task is to guess which person the item belongs to. Let's start off easy. What about this stethoscope? Well, it should definitely belong to this doctor on the right. 2 more people. Any guesses who the owner of this bracelet is? The bracelet has a name engraved on it, Sophia. This girl on the left has a name tag with the same name, so it must be her bracelet. Next up, this lipstick. There are 2 girls who are possible owners, but what's your best guess? Who does it belong to? It must be this girl. Both of them are wearing lipstick, but this girl has the exact same shade as the lipstick itself. Earring and 2 girls again to choose from. Any guesses? It must be this girl. Her ears are pierced, and the other girls aren't. The next item is the hairdryer. Who do you think it belongs to? It must be this girl's dryer. She has long hair, and the other guy is bald. Okay, this one is more fun. The next one we have to place is this cute little cat. Who do you think is its owner? See that this girl's legs are a bit scratched? They give her away completely. It's her cat. One last item for you to place. This time it's a photograph of the owner in her teenage years with her parents. Who do you think it belongs to? The teen in the photo is a redhead with green eyes. There's just one redhead girl with green eyes, and here she is. It must be her photo. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She came across a witch's house and asked her to take her home. 5 doors appeared. Only one of them will take you home, and you only have one chance. The right door is black. It's not next to the leftmost or the rightmost door. It's not the door in the middle either. Which door should Esme choose? There are just 3 black doors, and it's one of them. It's not the door next to the leftmost or the rightmost one, so the fourth door is eliminated. It's not the middle door, so it's out too. Esme should walk out the door on the left. Eiko woke up in a dark dungeon without remembering what happened. She looked around and saw a metal door. Unfortunately, it was locked, and it required not just one password, but 4. Eiko had only one attempt to make it right. Gladly, next to the door, there was a sign with 4 words: apple, bread, chair, and dress. Which word belongs here? Pay attention to the shapes of each password. Some letters are bigger than others, and each word should fit right in. So it should be bread on the top left, apple on the top right, dress on the bottom left, and chair on the bottom right. In a factory, a worker and a half make a chair and a half in 1 hour and a half. How many chairs does one worker make in one working day, which is 6 hours? If 1.5 workers make 1.5 chairs in 1.5 hours, it means that one worker makes 1 chair in the same time, which is 1.5 hours. So in a 6-hour working day, one worker makes 4 chairs. It was a lazy day, but as soon as it started raining, a city's police officer got a call. Mr. Jones said that someone had just bumped into his car and drove away. The officer arrived. They found one person nearby fixing his car's tire. Mr. Jones said that it was the gentleman who had bumped into his car. The gentleman said that it couldn't be true, since he had been trying to fix his car for over an hour now, and was there the whole time. Who is lying? It's the guy fixing his car. The rain just recently started. If he'd been fixing his car the whole time, the ground underneath his car would be dry. But it's wet, which means his car broke down just recently, probably when he was driving away after the accident. A crew of pirates arrived at a deserted island in the Caribbean at night. In the early morning, the captain went ashore to find his secret stash with all the treasures hidden in it. But when he reached it, the treasures weren't there. Someone from his crew had gone ashore earlier and stolen all of it. There were 3 suspects: Bill, first mate, Gil, bosun, and Will, cook. All of them denied stealing anything, but the captain knew who was lying. Who? There are footprints on the shore from earlier that don't belong to the captain. One is a footprint, but the other one is a hole from a stick. The robber must be Gil, the bosun, because he is the only one with a wooden leg. Let's start with training your eyes a bit. Can you find an odd one out here? Yes, that's the one. Another one for you. Look carefully, and you only have several seconds to find the imposter. That's the one. Correct. Now the game is getting a bit harder, but I know you've got it. What do you say? Here it is. Did you find it? Okay, last one of these, the hardest one. Do you see the odd one out this time? There it is! Great job! Maya is a witch. She's been looking for her missing cat all morning. Can you help her? The cat is over here. Maya is heading to her best friend Sandra. She brings her something delicious. It looks square from the outside, but it looks round when opened. Also, it looks like a triangle when taken out. Can you guess the name of the food? It's a pizza! On the way, Maya decides to take a new route. She finds herself in the middle of an unfamiliar street and sees some cute little houses. All except 2 are blue. Also, all except 2 houses are red and all except 2 are purple. Can you figure out how many houses of each color are present on that street? Let's focus on the first 2 statements. We can fairly assume that 2 houses are not red and 2 houses are not blue. Now, one of those houses that are not red can be blue. Similarly, one of the non-blue houses can be red. If we remember the third statement, that all except 2 houses are purple, we can conclude that the street has only 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 purple house. Maya enters Sandra's kitchen. Can you count the exact number of frogs in this location? "13. This one is just a picture. Sandra shows Maya 2 pictures of her sisters. Ella lives alone, while Elsa lives with her fiancé. Can you guess which one is Elsa? It's the First Lady. She has 2 towels in her bathroom, while Ella only has 1. Maya asks Sandra, can you make the sum of 60 by using 3 times the same number? Sandra replies, easy, 20 plus 20 plus 20. But there's one more way to do so. Can you figure it out? The other way is 55 plus 5. Maya needs help in her magic shop, so she invites Harry for a job interview. When Harry arrives, he looks pretty nervous, so Maya offers him some hot coffee. She puts the cup in front of him and asks, "What's before you?" Harry replies, "Tea." After hearing the answer, Maya hires this candidate immediately. Can you guess why? If the answer was coffee, Maya would never have asked such an easy question. She meant the alphabet U, the letter T, comes before U. That's why Maya is impressed by Harry's answer. Harry shows Maya 3 cards from a standard deck face down. He says, to the left of the queen, there are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the jack are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the club, there are 1 or 2 diamonds. To the left of the diamond are 1 or 2 diamonds. Can you guess what the 3 cards are? The Jack of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds, and Queen of Diamonds, or Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, and Queen of Diamonds. Maya tells Harry, "Let me show you some focus pocus too. I can make the number 1 disappear by adding something to it. Can you guess how?" She needs to add a letter G before 1, and it will be gone. Simple. Maya leaves her magic shop to get some lunch. In a while, she returns and finds Harry unconscious on the floor in the storage room. She calls doctors and questions 3 persons standing nearby. Billy says, "I was checking out the shelf with love potions when I heard weird noises from the storage. But I didn't bother. I thought Harry just dropped some stuff." Scarlet says, "I came here to buy the missing ingredient for my revenge potion. I don't have time for this." And Bella says, "I came here for red candles, but the seller was absent." Can you guess what happened here? Take a look at Scarlet's recipe. The missing ingredient is a spider. Harry got bitten by a venomous spider when he tried to get it out of this broken jar. There's a tiny bite on his right arm. Next Sunday, Maya receives a call from Sandra at 7 a.m. Sandra is very excited because she had found a recipe for an immortality potion in her library. Maya arrives at Sandra's house at 10 a.m. and finds her lying unconscious on the floor. All her books are gone. Maya calls the police. The detective arrives immediately and questions 3 suspects. Sandra's husband, Frank, says, "I'm a school teacher. I haven't been home all morning because I had 4 classes on my schedule." Shelley, the housekeeper, says, "I had a day off and spent time with my boyfriend." And Bob, the gardener, says, "I've been planting roses in the backyard all morning. I haven't even entered the house yet." After hearing all 3 stories, the detective knows exactly who's a liar. What about you? Frank is lying. He said he'd been at school, but schools are closed on Sundays. Thankfully, Maya saved a screenshot with the recipe on her phone. Now she's making a potion for Sandra. Unfortunately, the last 4 ingredients in the recipe are encoded. Here's the first one. It's a fruit that is always sad. Can you figure it out? It's a blueberry. Also, she needs to add something that has an ear but cannot hear. Any ideas what it might be? Corn. The next one is a cheese that is made backward. Eat 'em. And the final ingredient is a room that you can eat. Maya needs to add a mushroom. Maya is visiting Sandra in the hospital. She gives her the magic potion, and Sandra gets well immediately. On the way back, Maya meets 3 doctors in the lobby, but only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess who? The first doctor is wearing a dirty coat, but it doesn't prove that he's a fake. Meanwhile, this handsome bearded doctor has a picture of a woman on his badge, which means that he had stolen someone else's pass. As for the third person, she's wearing colorful nail extensions, which is against common sanitary rules, so she can't be a doctor. Maya runs away from the imposters and finds herself in a creepy abandoned part of the hospital. Finally, she sees 3 doors, but each door is hiding some danger. There's a werewolf hiding behind the first door. There's a wicked wizard waiting for Maya behind the second door. And there's a magical portal leading to a black hole behind the third door. Can you help Maya choose the safest option to escape? She should choose the first door. Look out the window. It's a new moon. Werewolves are only dangerous on a full moon. Maya escapes successfully and calls her sister Wendy, who lives in a village. Wendy says, "Come over and we'll figure it out." Maya boards a train. Maya notices these 4 passengers. One of them is a famous thief. Can you guess who? This elegant lady is a thief. The first guy is reading about her crimes in his newspaper. Finally, Maya arrives at Wendy's house. She spots one odd detail about this place right away. Can you see it too? It's too risky to leave the iron in such a dangerous position. Maya enters the living room and spots 2 weird details. What about you? Take a closer look at the calendar. There's no June 31st. Also, this chair only has 3 legs. Maya starts to suspect that Wendy is under a spell. To test her logical thinking, she offers her this riddle. There are 8 brothers that look alike. They're considered to be weak, yet they protect the king in every battle. If they move ahead, they never turn back. Who are they? Wendy failed to crack this riddle. What about you? The 8 brothers are pawns in the chess game. After a long search, Maya finds a spell that will break all black magic, but it's locked in this safe that requires a 7-digit code. Can you help Maya open the safe? There are exactly 7 books on the shelf above the safe. It's a hint. Each book has a Roman numeral on its spine. So, the code is 2113542.
The helicopter has dropped you in the middle of a tropical jungle. You're to prove you can survive in the wild. The jungle is filled with all kinds of beasts. As you go, write down your answers. At the end, they'll help you find out if you have what it takes to survive for real. You're in a small glade before a dense jungle. You need to go through it to reach the first checkpoint. You only have a bottle of water, a box of matches, and a phone in a waterproof case. As soon as you take a step, a loud growl from behind makes you freeze. You see a big lion, and it's not happy to meet you. There's no point in running away. The lion is faster and also excellent at climbing trees. It's getting closer. What are you going to do? Raise your hands, scream, and throw a bottle of water at the lion to scare it. Open the bottle and pour water over the lion. Turn your back to it and not move. You've got 7 seconds. Never turn your back on a lion. The beast knows to be wary of humans, so start making noise and throw a bottle at it. This should help, but if the lion doesn't leave, then you should start slowly retreating. This time, the bottle helped you. The lion runs away, you take the bottle from the ground and go into the jungle. You make your way through the thicket and see 2 bear cubs. They growl so sweetly and seem to want to play with you. You think they're thirsty, so you open the bottle. What will you do next? Give them some water to drink. Take a photo with the cubs because they're so cute. Quickly escape from this place as fast as possible. Every second is important. You need to quickly run away from this place. If there are cubs here, then their mother is somewhere nearby. She will come at you if she sees you near her children. While running, you trip over a root and fall. It seems you managed to get away, but wait, something big is coming towards you from the right. You turn your head and see a huge grizzly bear. It growls and stands up on its hind legs. What to do now? Get up and quickly run away? Climb the nearest tree and wait for the bear to leave. Pretend to be unconscious and don't move. The bear is getting closer. Decide now. The beast seems clumsy but runs very fast and is excellent at climbing trees. In case of the grizzly, you need to lie down and freeze, proving that you don't mean any harm. The bear sniffs at you and seems to leave, but don't get up just yet. It can stay nearby and look at you to make sure you really are unconscious. After 10 minutes, you open your eyes and feel the bear is gone. Now, we'll ignore the fact that bears don't live in jungles and continue our adventure. You're making your way through the jungle again. You can see the river ahead, but before you reach it, you need to solve the problem with a pack of wolves. Wolves in a jungle, never mind. They're looking at you as their prey, slowly surrounding you. Your choice of actions? Don't let them surround you. Press your back against a tree, then quickly climb it. Use matches to set fire to the grass. The fire will scare away the wolves. Scream and splash water in different directions. Wolves are afraid of fire, but now you don't have enough time to make it. Don't let them surround you. Any tall tree will save you. First, press your back against it, then quickly climb up before the wolves get to you. Night falls. You're sitting in a tree. The wolves are tired of waiting for you and leave. You go down, build a fire to warm up, and cook food. By the way, what will you have? Berries. You found ripe purple and red ones. They look delicious and seem juicy. Ants. You've stumbled upon a large anthill. Mushrooms. They don't look much like fly agaric, which means you can eat them. So, what's on the menu tonight? Surprisingly, ants are now the most edible thing for you. You can't eat berries and mushrooms if you don't know what they are. They may be poisonous. After a hearty dinner with your aunt, you wait for dawn and continue on your way. The jungle ends and you come out on a wide green clearing with a large lake nearby. You carefully tread through the open area and suddenly hear a rapid rumbling in the distance. You look around and see a wild boar. It's rushing right at you, snorting and roaring. What will you do? Run towards the boar shouting. It will confuse the animal. Lie down on the ground and pretend to be unconscious. Run back to the forest and climb a tree. Hurry up, you don't have much time. You need to climb the nearest tree. Wild boars will eat anything they can. So you climb a tree, but the boar is waiting for you on the ground. An hour passes, a second, a third. The boar doesn't even think to leave. Fortunately, a bear appears nearby. It scares the boar away and doesn't notice you. You wait until the animals are out of sight, then climb down the tree. You finally come to a lake. You need to swim across it. The good news, you're a good swimmer. The bad news is that there's a shark in this lake. Freshwater shark, huh? Hey, let's just go with it. You dive into the water and swim to the opposite bank. On the other side, there's a small pier with a moored old fishing boat. Where will you go? To the pier with a boat or to the sandy bank? Don't get closer to the fishing boat. It gives off the smell of fish that attracts the shark. Most likely, it lurks near the pier. You swim to the bank and see a fin next to the boat. It turns and starts quickly toward you. The shark has spotted you. What will you do? Try to swim to the shore as quickly as possible. Don't swim away, turn to the shark and move very slowly. Dive underwater and start waving your arms to scare the shark. Well, you need to stop. If you start swimming away, the shark will think you're its prey. Take a deep breath and try not to make unnecessary movements. The shark swims away and you calmly reach the shore. It's only a short distance to your destination now. There's a swamp on your way. You walk around it, then notice some green mud slowly moving towards you. It's an alligator. It comes out of the swamp and wants you to become its lunch. What will you do? Quickly run away? Lie on the ground face down and don't move? Jump on the alligator's back to scare it. Well, alligators are fast animals, but they're only good on short distances. So don't hesitate and immediately run away. The alligator won't even try to catch up if you're far away. Ahead, you can see a flag stuck in the ground. This is your destination point. You happily run towards it and hear a hiss. You stop and stare at the grass. Within it, you notice a small snake. It seems venomous, but you don't want to check it. What will you do? Find a long stick and point it at the snake so it lashes out of the stick instead of you? Move to a safe distance and get around the snake. Hiss loudly in response to scare the snake away. The simplest answer is the most correct. The snake won't jump if you retreat. You step aside and run back to the flag. Finally, you have completed your mission and survived. In the sky, you see a helicopter flying by. It seems they don't see you. It almost flies away, and you need to do something to make the pilot notice you. You have matches, water, and your phone. What are your actions? You don't have time to build a fire, you need to use the phone screen. Catch a ray of sunlight and point it towards the helicopter. Yeah, you've been spotted! The helicopter picks you up and you check your points during the flight. 0 to 2 points, you're nothing but prey for wild animals. But after this video, your chances of survival increase. 3 to 7 points, not every animal will dare to come at you, but you still need to be careful. 8 to 11 points, you have proven that the human stands at the top of the food chain. Just be extra careful around those jungle grizzly bears.